Good afternoon. I'm Abe Peck, executive editor of Inside Unmanned Systems magazine for autonomous media. And we're here with Sagetech with two experts, Mark Lansfield, the Chief Growth Officer, and Rudy Johnson, Director of Technical Business Development. Mark, why don't you give us an overview of what Sagetech is up to?
Yeah, thank you very much. So Sagetech's a global provider of transponders and DAA solutions for crewed and uncrewed aircraft for both the military and the civil airspace or civil markets. In addition to providing those technologies, we've been here to talk a lot about the build out of the BVLOS certifiable tech stack that consists of not only our core competencies in DAA, but in C2, in ATC voice traffic, as well as telemetry.
Great, and I have a visual aid, so and what's interesting about this diagram is that it really divides, aside from the technical depth, which you're going to go into in a moment, it really talks about cooperative aircraft and non-cooperative aircraft, which I guess is what the whole thing's about. So, Rudy, why don't you tell us a bit about the technical side of that?
Sure, absolutely. I'd love to. And thank you for having us today.
Of course, and thank you for being here.
Appreciate taking a little bit of your time out of the show here to talk with us. You know, when we talk about cooperative and non-cooperative, it's sort of a nebulous term, but just to define that, cooperative traffic is any traffic that has a transponder and can transmit signals and can reply to interrogation. So non-cooperative traffic is any aircraft that does not have a transponder, does not have a working transponder, it could be off, or simply not equipped, right? So it has no way to respond to interrogations or send out any transmissions. So that's important for a detect and avoid system because we're not talking about remotely piloted aircraft that don't have a crew in the cockpit and no eyes out the window. So the non-cooperative sensors that we're talking about, non-cooperative surveillance in general, really helps us to plan for the pilot's eyes out the window, and then the processing that happens behind the eyes, and ultimately the maneuvers that are taken to avoid any aircraft that may be within conflict. So the detect and avoid systems that we're working on at Sagetech today are all ACAS-X based. ACAS-X being the next in the evolution line of TCAS and collision avoidance in general. There are some different varieties of this ACAS-X system for the large fixed wing unmanned aircraft, for the rotary aircraft and some of the novel aircraft designs that we see coming out, and also for the small UAS, and that would be the SXU version of that. And we're working on those different varieties, Abe, to be able to fulfill the needs of all of our customers and all of the airspace. So below the 400-foot delivery corridor, above 400 foot where we're integrating with the rest of the airspace and thereby have to communicate in the traditional means with the existing aircraft in the airspace.
So I know Mark, when we were talking just before we sat down, was talking about BVLOS being a factor in this. Can we go into that?
Absolutely. You know, the work that they've been doing in the ARC, or the BVLOS ARC, was recently summarized and published for general guidance, and which we covered in our most recent issue. Exactly. Yeah. So they'll pitch back to you there. But really a lot of really good things coming out of that BVLOS ARC that the industry is now absorbing and embracing and building around. So the overall holistic approach that we're seeing now is one that is really bringing together all the different pieces that enable that BVLOS operations, and we play a critical role in that with our transponders and our detect and avoid systems.
Right, and you were talking about C2 and telemetry. You want to talk a bit about that?
Absolutely. Command and control is really tightly integrated with what we're doing with respect to DAA. More importantly, I think the two big areas are latency and reliability. And the reason for that is it provides situational awareness to UTMs. It provides situational awareness to a remote pilot in command that's using a ground control station. It can also serve as a means by which to provide not only the on-board sensor data down to these elements, but also being able to capture ground-based sensor data, whether that's optical, whether that's radar or other, and provide that back up to the ACAS processor that Rudy's mentioned to provide us situational awareness and the safety case required to meet the FAA's requirements.
And really, without taking you through every dotted line of the diagram, I guess one other piece is the ATC piece. Can you talk a bit about that?
Absolutely. So, ATC voice comms are critical in today's airspace integration, and they will continue to be. Voice comms are seeing evolution today from DO 377 requirements of the MOPS to the 377B. So we are seeing quite a bit of an evolution there. Nonetheless, we do expect that the similar paradigm as it is in the airspace today will be applied to these remotely piloted aircraft. So today we measure the transmissions and the latency up to the pilot and the aircraft. That simply will be transitioned to the remote pilot on the ground. But all of the latency numbers and the requirements will be very similar for ATC voice comms, as it will continue to be a critical piece of that overall airspace integration.
So you just, for either of you, you just figured some similarities, but we're the drone world, I'll call it. We're in an accelerated time space. That was so last Thursday. You know what I mean? And if we were to come back to the next show, what do you think that you guys would be talking about? What would be the year evolution?
For us, it's going to be the progress of a lot of the ACAS software that Rudy talked about, the certification of our civil transponder, and those two things combined really serve as a stepping stone, that along with that BVLOS ecosystem, as kind of getting us to commercially viable BVLOS operations that'll allow us to accomplish this digital drone economy that we're trying to.
And from the customer's point of view, faster, lighter, better, cheaper, right?
That's always
the mantra, right? And what are people asking you at the show? What kind of questions are they coming to you guys with?
Something similar to that. A lot of them are asking us, we've been talking and socializing over the years about our roadmap. So we're getting a lot of questions about where are we at with respect to DAA, where are we at with the certification of our transponders, where are we at in particular with our Mode 5 IFF military transponders, and what are the next things that we're going to do. And so it's been an interesting and very fruitful event for us.
Oh, that's great. And I did one more question. I'm looking at the diagram, and over here, the terminus, you'll do more, but the end, I'll call it, is UTM. So, that's a complex thing with, controlled spaces and this and that. Absolutely. So what are you looking at there?
The term UTM has really gone under an evolution in and of itself, to where before we were talking about unmanned traffic management, but I've been hearing the term more and more, and I think it's more accurate to the spirit of what we're trying to do. It's been being referred to now as unified traffic management.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? And I think it really serves to go to the heart of what we're really trying to do is that overall airspace integration, a holistic, unified approach versus the segregation of airspace.
Which dovetails back to efforts like BVLOS ARC and really try to have an integrated airspace or airspace. So that would be it. Well, what else would you like to add before we conclude?
Well, you asked a great question here, and Mark gave you some thoughts on what we expect to see next year. If I was to polish my crystal ball, I think there's a couple things that I expect to happen from now till next year. One is we were talking about DA and ACAS X. One of the first minimum operational performance standards that's been published has been with regard to ACAS XU for the large fixed-wing aircraft. Now, there's the current work on the version 2 within RTCA. However, there is an expectation that we'll see some regulatory guidance before the end of the year around ACAS XU. So by next year, we may see we may be closer to some certified systems. And by then we will have actually even sooner by then, by next month, we'll have certification on our MXS transponder as well. So all good things to look forward to.
Great.
And looking forward to a good
next
next
year.
year.
In baseball, wait till next year.
That's right.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for doing this. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you so
great.
much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, and good luck
Thank
with
you,
all this
sir.
stuff. Right. Okay.
Great questions, Aiden.
Thank you.
Excellent.